Hello, and welcome to this edition of Cooking with Chef Express. I'm Jan Thompson Goldsmith, and today we're going to be featuring a recipe from the Low Carb Cookbook. Now, it's going to be beef stroganoff, and I know lots of people think, oh, that's kind of a banquet fare or something that you might have on a buffet line. But really, it started off as a very elegant and fancy dinner back in Russia in the 1700s and the 1800s. So we're going to make it pretty fancy today, but we're going to make our own little recipe and make it a little bit different. So here, first of all, are all of the ingredients. And it's not too bad, really. It's flour, vegetable oil, sour cream, a little lemon juice, onions, mushrooms, noodles, or you could do rice if you prefer rice, chicken broth, beef broth, a little wine, and top sirloin tip steak, and a little salt and pepper. But we're going to use sirloin steak tips today because we've kind of modified the recipe a little bit so that it makes them come out just great. So the first thing we want to do is make 2-inch long strips, cutting with the grain. So the first thing we do is we cut with the grain. And then the next thing you want to do is after you've cut with the grain, the 2-inch strips, go back and make like 1/2-inch cuts against the grain. And what this is really good for is it really helps to tenderize the meat. That's why we do this last when we're making the smaller pieces. The reason that we are going to kind of pat out the juices of the meat is because that really helps it form a good crust when we put it in the skillet. So just kind of do that. Just getting it on both sides. And then a little salt and pepper. Season the meat. Okay, first thing we're going to do now is put 1 tablespoon of the vegetable oil. 1 tablespoon of the vegetable oil into the frying pan, and we're going to heat it just to get it really hot, like on a medium high, till it's almost smoking. And then just kind of pick the pan up so that the olive oil is even all over coating the bottom of the pan. Thank you. It's nice when you stir fry the meat, which is going to be like 2 to 3 minutes on each side, so about 5 minutes for each batch. Do it in 2 batches because you don't want them all clogging on top of each other. It's kind of nice if they all have their own space. Yeah, that's a good sound. Then we just let them cook for a while without stirring it. Okay, so after a couple minutes, turn them over. Tongs are very helpful in doing a dish like this, just to be able to manipulate the pieces of meat. So once all the meat is out, we just set that aside for a while, put in the remaining 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. All right, that's getting nice and hot. Now we add the 1 cut up onion and the mushrooms. I think I have like 10 ounces of mushrooms here. And the final thing for this is 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Again, it helps get the moisture out. Okay, so once you have these stirred up really well, they need to cook for about 8 minutes. Our goal here is to cook out the liquids. So it's been about 8 minutes, so now what we're going to do is add the flour. It's actually starting to really smell good now. Okay, once we coat all of the mushrooms and the onions with the flour, but now what we're going to do is add the chicken and the beef broth. The reason we don't add a total of 3 cups of beef broth is it makes it a little strong, but the chicken kind of cuts that flavor a little bit. We also want to add the wine. You can also use brandy here if you prefer. The brandy makes it have a really special taste. I just thought more people might have some red wine on hand. Maybe it's just that I have more red wine on hand. I don't know, but that's what we're using. We're going to put the beef back in along with all of the accumulated juices. So now we're going to cover this and put it on low and cook it for about another 30 or 35 minutes. So all the flavors can meld together. And I've turned the heat off for a couple of minutes because when we put the sour cream in, we don't want the heat going really, really hot because it will curdle. So this is a lemon juice. Put that in first. And then put this in. That tastes really, really good. The flavors really mix very well together. I can't imagine it tasting any better if it had filet mignon in it. This is really good. I think you'll be very happy with it. Count Stroganoff was happy. I'm happy. Thank you so much for joining us today on Cooking with Chef Express. And until next time, eat well. Okay. Just in time.